So, yeah, I think it's like the share button, right?
Yes. And then, yeah, and then it'll let you choose if you're sharing your tab, your a browser tab, or
Yeah, let's see. Okay, got it. So I have, you tell me, because I don't know if you want to do maybe just a quick kind of overview today for Vocable, and then if it's there's a better time to do more of a like a wider webinar around AI in general and content strategies, or we can just do that as well today.
so I know that from your last office hours with us, people were loving what you were talking about. They were wanting more. They were definitely trying to get to the first webinar we had scheduled on the 6th that we had to reschedule. So I would say there's a lot of interest. And so I'd like to leave it to you. If you have the time and the energy to do like what you just said, the two different calls, that's great. But if you want to just put everything into this call, that's fine too. Really, we have the space for you, so it's up to what you'd like to do.
Yeah, I think we can definitely, maybe if there is a better time that works for more people, I'm happy to reschedule that. I definitely could, do it
Okay.
again. That way, I think it will be more beneficial for people to be live because then they can actually ask the questions.
Agreed.
And it's kind of meant to be more interactive. And obviously, I know they can always rewatch it, but I don't know how much, I mean, I'm sure they still get a lot of value, but I think the best kind of part of it is to just engage in questions and being able to answer a lot of that of the process because it's a whole kind of system.
Sure.
So today I could just maybe quickly do a walkthrough of Vocable AI because I know we have that actual we have the AppSumo deal that is now it's only 2 weeks left there. So that's something if people are interested in grabbing now,
Yeah.
especially as they
People were definitely interested in that. So I'm going to put that into the chat.
Yeah, so I can add the link. I can send you also the link later on if you want to just send an email for people to have access to it on their own. I can have an email sent to you with all the details, and it's a lifetime access that also with the tier 3 gives you 4 seats. So you get 4 Vocable accounts for the price of one and one-time payment, which is probably never going to happen again. But it's just kind of part of this campaign. And if, of course, your community members are interested in this, or they think that maybe even they're not using content creation tools right now, but they might want to in the near future, then this is a great deal to grab because it's a lifetime deal. So you have it forever. And then you have 4 accounts that comes with it as well. So even your team members, your assistants, you can pull them into the platform as it also evolves and we add more features. So I could do a quick walkthrough on that then, if that makes sense.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I was going to purchase it, and I was just curious. I made myself a note here in case I have to jump. I didn't know whether, for me, who's a single user, if I should buy the tier 1 or the tier 2.
So single user for tier 1, you only have one brand that you can add in there, and 2 campaigns that you can create in general. So that's very much for people who are early starters in the content. They're not really creating a lot of content across all the channels on a monthly, consistently basis. So that's kind of a starter pack, if you will. Tier 2 comes with 5 brands and 5 campaigns. So that's best for, let's say, someone who's building their brand, but also have other kind of side hustles or other businesses that they're launching on the side. So,
Okay.
for example, for me, I would use it for, let's say, my personal brand, and then for any like a Vocable or any other business I have. And then the tier 3 is mostly for teams and agencies because you have unlimited everything. So you can add as many brands as you'd like and store them there for context. So you can create campaigns around your brand context. And you have also unlimited campaigns that you create. So you don't have to worry about, I can just share my screen. You don't have to worry about like limits in your campaign. So these are so you'll have like, obviously, as you could see here, I have a lot. But most people, sometimes they create a campaign and they just, use that content that's in it. and then they publish it and then they just delete it and then they start over. So that's also another hack, to make the most. So you don't have to have the unlimited. But campaigns that are unlimited and brands unlimited is for mostly agencies too, and teams that are managing a lot of different content for different brands across different channels. And so they have a lot of things going on simultaneously, content-wise. So it's easier to manage that way.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, great. So any other questions before I get started? Just to kind of do a quick walkthrough, but just to give you an idea of just the vision of the product, at least at this stage. So obviously it's a very early stage. We are planning on making it, the big vision really with Vocable has been to become an end-to-end content creation system that really helps you manage and streamline the entire content lifecycle, from research to strategy, then from strategy to creating the content and writing it, scripting it, then eventually producing media assets that support that content, and then publishing it, scheduling it to your channels, and eventually tracking the analytics, and of course, kind of iterating from there. So that's the big vision, of course, in the near future. The way we got started as priority, because obviously you can't launch all of it at once, is really helping people with their content strategy, which I think is the biggest bottleneck for most people that want to create content. They know they need to show up online every day. They need to, create content that engages their audiences and resonates with them, but they just don't know how to put a plan in place or how to turn that expertise or their knowledge into an execution plan from a content perspective. And so that was our initial, starting point for the value we provide, is really kind of taking your, I would say, messy ideas or complex ideas or just kind of like a brain dump, and then dropping it into a simple prompt. And it doesn't have to be super complicated. So for example, let's just copy this. This is one of our a clinic that obviously is specialized in hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And I always like to use their example because hypnotherapy and hypnosis are quite complex concepts. And if you were to kind of follow that logic and create educational content around that is a little bit too maybe scientific or high level, then you might just lose your audience, right? So you might not really capture people's attention when they're scrolling on social media or they're scrolling on, even forums or searching things on blogs. So the idea is you kind of drop your simple prompt here. I want to create a content strategy or campaign, about hypnotherapy tips designed to help busy professionals optimize their performance and mindset. The goal is to educate our audience on the benefits of hypnotherapy instead of traditional therapy, while positioning our clinic as a leading resource. So as you can see, the prompt is pretty simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it with this platform, as opposed to, when you're using ChatGPT and using Claude or other versatile chatbots, because our AI is already trained on how content creation is optimized, and it's also trained on emotional resonance and hooks and frameworks that really help you tell stories and engage with your audience in a way that is not too superficial, but also not too boring. So that's why with the prompt, you don't have to overthink it the way you do with, ChatGPTs. I know a lot of people have that problem with, I don't know how to craft the perfect prompt. You don't have to worry about that here. Just make sure that you do drop your at least main points, talking points, or your main messaging that you really want to get across. And then if you have your brand already saved, and we can go over that in a bit, then you can just pick it from here. So it already adds context to the AI about what your brand does and the positioning and messaging and your niche keywords and whatnot. Then you can also choose your campaign goal, right? So what is the goal for me with this content? Do I want engagement? Do I just want to build brand awareness? Do I want to nurture and warm my lead and generate leads, or do I want to convert into sales? So obviously sales conversion is going to be a little bit more promotional type of content. Engagement and brand awareness will be more towards educational content, but also still positioned in a very storytelling way. And then lead generation is really kind of a combination of both, but also getting more personal with your audience to really kind of build that belief and emotional connection. So you pick which one which stage you're in or what kind of goal you have for your content, and then you hit generate. And so now what it's doing, then it's just kind of taking all that context into place and turn it into a month's worth of emotionally resonant content that could help you kind of obviously achieve your goal with, what you're trying to do across your different channels. And you're supposed to pick your channels, but I wanted to just not pick a specific channel here just so I can show you, because when you don't pick any channel, it just generates a little bit of everything, right? So it generates across the board: email, Instagram, LinkedIn. So this is a good way to show you kind of the versatility of the content across the different platforms. But of course, if you are planning to create content just for, let's say, I want a month's worth of content just for Instagram, because that's my focus now for the next month, or maybe I just want to focus on video content for Instagram and TikTok. So you can always pick one channel if you want, or specific channels that you want to focus on. You don't have to have all the content generated at once. But this is for demo purposes, just to kind of show you the different types of content that the platform offers. So as you could see here now, it created a 30-day campaign across all these different channels, and it has a blog, a Medium article, since that's also now kind of popular. We're adding Substack as well soon, since it seems long form content creation is back on trend now. And then it has LinkedIn, case studies, Instagram posts, TikTok videos, Facebook posts, Reels, and so guides, podcasts as well, if you do have a podcast, Twitter thread. So it basically brought all of the channels together and said, okay, based on your prompt and your goal, here is a cohesive campaign across all of these channels that you need to focus on for the next month or the next 30 days. And this will help you communicate that message or share those ideas and hopefully build that brand awareness or get that engagement you're looking for. So as you can see, you kind of go through each one and review it one by one. And this is kind of where I would say the human in the loop comes in, right? So with any AI tool you're using out there, there's just not a perfect one that is going to give you a perfect piece written without any edits, without your, personal touch to it, and just really adding that human insight. And I know a lot of people expect AI to do that for them at this stage, and I get it, but I'm always here to remind you that your only job now as a human in the loop is to just make sure that you are reviewing everything that your AI gives you, and then that you take some time at least to put your personal input to it, because that's also what's going to distinguish between what feels natural and human and unique and original and what's just kind of generated by AI and copy pasted into different channels. So the way I then do this, now I like the list view, but you can also see it as a Kanban if you are more of a project management type of person. So you're able to just see what's already in review, what's in progress, especially if you're working with a team or an assistant, then this Kanban view is good. And then once you start kind of putting deadlines into your content or wanting to know when to schedule them for publishing, then your calendar view will probably make a lot of sense to just visualize all the content across your calendar. So now let's go back to the list view, because this is how I like to work. I just go through each one. So I have maybe I dedicate like an hour or so where I just sit down and go through each piece and edit it and then give it kind of my own take on it. So when you click on the left side, you're not going to see the full content piece. You're going to see what we call a brief. And any content marketers or industry leaders in marketing in general will understand the importance of a brief. So think of it as kind of a stepping stone between your idea and then your final draft. And so the brief is really what briefs, your AI on what the piece needs to be about. So this gives it extra direction. So when the AI comes up with a content plan, it doesn't automatically create immediately the draft. It gives you like, okay, here's an idea I came up with, right? Here's the headline, and here's the description of how the piece is going to be, structured, the main message, how, what the direction is for the content piece, etc., what the CTA is. And then here are the keywords to use. And then this custom instructions box is for the human in the loop. So this is for you to add any additional instructions you want AI to follow. And this has to do maybe with the way it writes. It could also be, oh, we don't use this type of language, or we use this instead. So think of it as if you're assigning this blog post to a writer, a human writer. What kind of other additional instructions or direction would you want to give them before you put them to the task? So that's kind of what the brief is about, right? And even if you change your mind and say, okay, I really like this idea, I love the headline and the direction and the angle, but I don't want it as a blog post. I want it more as a YouTube script because I think it'll do better. So this is where you kind of play around with it first before you go into the next stage. And then when you click view content, then it creates the content for you. And then you kind of watch it happen in real time. And it drops you then into your entry editor to continue adding your edits and then, making it a little bit more refined before then you publish it or schedule it for publishing. So far, any questions while it's writing? Because our blog posts are pretty meaty, as you could see, different from a lot of what at least I personally get from, Claude or ChatGPT. They're pretty surface level, but we made our blog post to be really comprehensive and in-depth because that's essentially what really ranks well on search engines. But also I have a theory and a rule that it's always good to have more, right? It's always good to give people more content and they can always delete what they don't like versus giving them little and small kind of pieces of content and they have to add more ideas to it. But you can also control the word count or whatnot. So any questions so far from the process from getting started to where we are now?
It's just so extraordinary. It's so magical. I just love it.
Thank you. So now you're in your entry editor and you have also your document health scoring. We don't have SEO yet and AI kind of normalizer. That's what we're working on next, but at least it gives you kind of a general document score and, with kind of correctness, vocabulary, readability, accessibility, style. So this is more kind of just the style of your content. And now this is kind of where you shine, right, as a human. I mean, I will say, though, I have seen people that just copied the entire thing and pasted it and pushed it on their blogs and, your choice. But I always recommend that you make sure that you read it or at least have an editor, someone on your team, if you don't want to be the one doing that, to just make sure that it feels right and that what's included, AI hallucinations are always there, no matter what AI tool you're using. So this is, again, where you kind of shine and make your edits. Another cool feature we have is you have your AI assistants from here. So you don't need to go back to ChatGPT and ask for more stuff. If you want, you can prompt different AI models directly from our text editor. So let's say you thought of something while you were reading this draft and you wanted to add maybe a joke or this tagline here and there, whatever. So you, let's just come up with something. Generate a funny saying about brain hacks. And then you pick your model too. So you can also compare and contrast outputs from different models, which is really interesting because I always like to do that before. So I would toggle between, I would give the same prompt to GPT-4o and Claude, which Claude is one of my favorite other AI chatbots. And then I would figure out which one has the best output. But you can do it from here directly on the platform. And then if you like whichever, output you got, you can insert it directly or you can copy it and add it wherever you see fit in your draft. So that's an extra kind of AI feature that allows you to, create the content with AI, but then you can also use AI to help you edit it better, if that makes sense. You, of course, have your version control too. So let's say you regenerated all of it and you didn't like it anymore, you want to go back to the old version, you can always restore. And then the way you can regenerate the entire content piece is by going back to your brief, and then you have to kind of give your edits, right? So if you want to regenerate it, why do you want to generate it in a different way? So maybe, make it this is where you add your edits, or you can add your custom instructions here, make it sound more funny, for example, or something with that sort. And then you can regenerate, and it'll regenerate the entire piece again. It also comes with the meta descriptions at the top, and everything else you need for your search engines. So you get the point for that. And you can also invite people. And so with tier 3, this is where it might be useful to have tier 3, because then if you have an editor or even an assistant, and you went through the content plan and generated at least the first drafts, and you want someone to do the editing, then you can invite them directly to the platform. You can still do that with other tiers. They will just need to get their own account. So they will have to buy a subscription in order to access the documents or the campaigns that they're invited to. But with tier 3, you have 3 people that you can invite that get a free account because they're under your plan. So just keep that in mind. So that's basically most of now it's basically rinse and repeat, right? So you have your campaign that was generated. So you go through, again, each one. Now you want to read this Medium article, you want to read this LinkedIn post, and then you like it. You don't want to add any edits to it. So then you generate the content, and then so on and so forth. And as you can see, so everything is written differently and optimized for each platform. So the LinkedIn posts are obviously written in a different way than an article, of course, because this is kind of the best practice, or also the best way to optimize a LinkedIn post for more engagement. And I'm sure you've seen it on your feeds on LinkedIn, where people just they write in one line, and then it just kind of creates this story flow that really feels more engaging for people. So this is kind of how our LinkedIn posts are optimized as well. Case studies are, of course, long. So TikTok videos are written in scripts. So you'll have also even your timestamps. It'll also give you directions on what to do on camera if you are filming this. It gives creative directions, visual direction, and performance notes towards the end. So if you are actually recording this yourself, then you can kind of follow that if you want, just some suggestions. Or if you want to send that to your creative director or editor, then they can follow those directions as well. And sometimes when I also use my AI avatar, this is very helpful to have a script like this ready to go, because I just copy and paste all the scripts and then add it to HeyGen. And then I just have my AI avatar go through the script and say it as if I'm the one who recorded it. So just because I typically don't like to record myself, although I am changing that, that's now my challenge, is I'm creating video content that I'm actually now recording myself. So I just take the script, I add it to my teleprompter, and then I just record it on my phone directly. And it actually feels a lot better to have a script ready to go and a direction when you're recording these TikToks and Reels, because you only have 1 minute or 1 minute and 30 seconds to really get your message across. So it's really good to script a bunch of these ahead of time. That way you have enough to work with to start recording in batches, so you're not kind of rambling or going off tangent. And then same thing with Instagram Reels as well. So it does, Facebook posts are kind of the same, Instagram post. I don't know if people here are publishing on Facebook still, but these are also great posts for Facebook business pages, not necessarily for, you could still use them for your personal pages, but this is really meant for specifically Facebook business pages if you are publishing through Vocable, but you can always copy and paste this into your personal account as well. So it incorporates emojis every now and then, but we try to make sure that it's not overdoing the emojis. At some point it was like all over the place. But whenever it makes sense, then it adds them. Whenever it doesn't and wants it to be clean, then it's up to you to add your own emojis. And so I think you kind of get the point as well. So we have carousels too. I don't know if anyone is using carousels. It is probably now one of the most engaging type of content on Instagram. They're very shareable. A lot of people save them as well. So this is also an alternative if you don't want to record videos and you want to just create more in-depth content for Instagram that provides a lot of educational value, but you don't have to actually create a whole video around it. I find that carousels have made a huge comeback, and a lot of people are experiencing a lot of growth by just posting in carousels. So the way you would do it here is just copying, of course, edit it first, and then copy and paste your final copy into your Canva templates, or there's also a great AI tool called Post Nitro that I use, where I can just upload this script directly, not script, this copy directly into Post Nitro, and it turns it into a full carousel with my own branding and everything. So that's another tool that's great to stack with Vocable, along with HeyGen for video avatars. In video is great to add your script from Vocable to it, so you can create faceless video content. So there's a lot to work with here, as far as if you don't want to be the one recording or be the one kind of spending too much time in designing and creating these supportive assets. At least now you have your strategy, right? So you have your foundation, which is a full month of content plan. You have your copy, your writing, ready to go, your scripts, and now you basically just take that and add it to another tool to create the images or create the videos or the graphics. But at least you've got the hard part done, which I think, to me, this was probably the biggest bottleneck for me as to why I wasn't creating a lot of content and consistently, is just because I was always thinking in bursts of inspiration, and I would just do one post at a time whenever I was inspired or whenever I had time, versus kind of dedicating like one day a month or one day a week where I'm doing all this planning and have all of my scripts and posts ready to go way ahead of time. And then I'm able to just then batch create the supportive assets that go with it. And then I can just upload them to a scheduler or a publishing tool like Planable, for example. And then I have all of my content ready to go, scheduled, and I don't have to wake up every day thinking, what am I posting today, you know? So that's basically how campaigns work. Does that make sense?
Yes. Quick question. Is there a like video training or help or something here to learn how to use the tool?
Yeah, so our community on Circle has a few tutorials there as well. And then it's all on our YouTube channel. So actually, if you click here, product tutorials, it takes you to, or maybe you can't see it from here, but it takes you to our YouTube channel. So you can access it from inside the product. And then we also have a community on Circle, and I can let me just write this down here.
So I need to get it set up.
This is also our link, the link to our community. So there's a lot of people also there that are exchanging kind of ideas, and you can share feedback there or asks or any other issues you might have kind of navigating the product. The community is pretty engaged, and I'm very active on there as well. And I do weekly office hours actually on our community. So, well, now we're moving them to twice a month, but I'm doing quite often a lot of trainings and workshops within our community. So you have that resources as well. Great. So now with the brand, I know when you first kind of join Vocable, one of the main things that you want to do, if you do have a business and a brand that you want to add as context, is kind of come onto brand here and add a new brand. So if you don't have any brand saved or anything, you're just going to see create new brand from URL, or you can add your brand. If you don't have a website, then you can add that information directly from here manually. But we assume, at least for most of our target audiences, they all have businesses. So it's easier to just create it using your website. And let's see if it'll do this for me, because I already did this before. So you add your website link to that box, and then you hit analyze, and it goes through your website, and it basically collects any information or any data around who you are, what your business does, what your description, your value proposition, kind of a quick brand identity, if you will. and it gathers that and creates a brand profile for you that then it uses as a source of knowledge to make the content a little bit more tailored to what your business does, so that you don't always have to tell it on that prompt, here's what my business does, and here's the product that I offer, and here's who my audience is, and it just gets repetitive, right? So with the prompt box, you just want to talk about, your thoughts and ideas that you want to focus on for that specific month or campaign, and hopefully the brand is already saved as context, and you don't have to repeat yourself to give it that context every single time. So now it creates a brand identity, and then it also comes up with some high-level topics, kind of, I would say more like pillars that your business will focus on, right? So for example, this one is a wellness center. And so from the website, they, it extracted these few topics that would be kind of the overarching themes and pillars for content moving forward. And you can always edit them or read them and make them more specific. You can also add your keywords and themes. So it created all of this for you to review, of course, before then you save it. And then it just becomes, one of your saved brands that you can pick when you're creating a campaign. And again, with the campaign, you don't have to pick a brand. So if, for example, sometimes I create campaigns for my LinkedIn only, and I'm very clear about what I want to say on LinkedIn. So I just come in here and I type up what I want to talk about for the next month, some high level specific topics or themes that I want to focus on. And then it creates the LinkedIn campaign for me without having to choose a brand. But if I do want to create content for Vocable, then I typically, choose Vocable from the drop down. But this is a test account, so I don't have Vocable in there. So that's for brand. Any questions for brands? Nope. Okay, great. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so then the other things are that we offer as well are templates. So this is for on-demand content creation. So not everything obviously has to be linked to a campaign. I do know that sometimes you just have, again, a burst of inspiration, or something comes up and you think, okay, we need to create a press release around it, or I need to create a new sales email sequence for this product, or I need some, quick podcast ad or Facebook post, whatever that might be. We have a few templates here that at least allow you to do that in a very quick way. And you can just input, you don't have to think of a prompt or anything of that sort. You just kind of add the specific input that AI needs, and then it creates the full copy for you. So it's a great way to, again, create on-demand content without having to overthink prompts. The other way to also create on-demand content or ad hoc is, so your plan, when you click on your plan, it has basically a comp view of all of your campaigns combined, right? So campaigns are just clustered, basically pieces of content based on, topics or themes, or even like a product launch that you have or a specific event that you're doing. So it's very much cohesive within the campaign, but then on the plan, it kind of shows you across the board what you're working on across all of your campaigns and even all of your brands. So, but also another way of creating ad hoc content is you just come to the plan, and now you can add to your plan as well. Instead of adding a full campaign, let's say I just want maybe 3 or 4 articles around a specific topic, then I just click ad hoc content. Then I have my brand here. I add what my content goals are. We're launching a new discount for, early members to our spa for free for the next 7 days, or something like that. Whatever that might be. And you want to send maybe an email newsletter around it, and you want to create maybe a LinkedIn post or do a whole video around whatever that content type might be. And you pick how many you want. So this is not really a full campaign. It's more like, I just need a few posts to announce this specific milestone or announcement or event. You can also add specific topic if you'd like, or keep them there just to, and you hit generate. And so now it creates the plan for you. It adds it to your content plan, adds the content directly to your content plan. And then now it's, you can work on it the same way you would work on a campaign, but it's just now on your plan. So now it created a few emails for you to promote that specific event. And if you like it, that's great. If you want to add more content, you can click on add more. If not, then you can just click view content, and now it'll be added at the top of your plan. So you have it there to, of course, work on and create the drafts around it. Any other questions around what we've covered so far? No? Okay. And the last thing is integrations. So our current native integrations include most of the text-based channels, and that's your blogs, WordPress, Webflow, and Wix, and then LinkedIn for LinkedIn posts. The LinkedIn articles are not able to be published directly from a platform because LinkedIn API does not allow for that. But you can post your LinkedIn posts directly from the platform. Then we have Facebook and X. So of course, as we add now in the next generation of the product, we'll be adding image generation, video generation. So we'll have Instagram and other channels that are only media supportive. So for now, we focused on the text-based content channels, which makes more sense. But it's easy to, for at least social channels, you just click on it and then it pulls up your login. Same thing with Facebook and X. And then with WordPress, you have to go through a little bit of the back end. So you have to pull some information from the WordPress platform, but we have a tutorial that shows you exactly how to do that here. But because it's sending a lot more information back to WordPress, you need a few keys that are generated on your WordPress account, and then you have to paste them into here. So, but it should be pretty straightforward with the tutorial. And once you have them integrated, then you are able to publish directly from, well, let's see. I don't have any in this account, but if you are, well, this is email, but there's a publish button here that you click on, and then all of your integrations will appear here. So then you could pick which channel you're publishing to from the entry editor. And I think that brings us to the end of the product walkthrough. So with teams, and this is again just for tier 3, you create a new team. I don't know why it's all the way here. And then you can add directly your members to it. So and then you just start adding members. But since I don't have tier, I'm not authorized on this one, but it shows up on here to add members. And it tells you here how many you have left. Okay, I think we have covered all of the main features. I'm open for questions.
I love it. I'm sure I'll have a million questions once I actually dig in and start using it.
Yeah, no, I think it takes a little bit of playing around with it for things to come up. But at least I just wanted to give an overview of, just what the product does and the capabilities of it for now, and, to see whether or not people relate to that.
Absolutely. It looks awesome.
A work in progress. We definitely have I think I'm more excited too about the next version of the product, because we've had a great campaign with AppSumo, which allowed us to learn a lot more about what people really want on a product like this and how we can improve it. And so we wanted to grow at least for a little bit, and then make sure that we have the resources needed. And then we are reinvesting a lot into product updates. Specifically, at least for me, I think the most important feature, because it does dictate a lot of what comes after, is adding a more in-depth brand training. So being able to upload a lot of your materials, like if you have brand guidelines or customer testimonials or reviews or any brand materials that would really give more context to AI across the board, would be an interesting add-on to see and compare the kind of output with just the website information versus, the output with a lot more in depth of, your brand training. So that would be really interesting kind of first add on, since that will dictate your strategy moving forward. Great. Well,
thank you so much, Iman.
Yeah.
For your time.
Pleasure.
I'll coordinate with you and we'll figure out another time for you to get on and have a bigger group and let everybody see this. And I'd love to do it before your promotion ends, because I know there are people who want to get in before that happens.
Yeah, definitely. Let me know. I'm happy to schedule another time.
Okay. All right.
Yes, we were here.
Everyone that showed up.
Yes. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye, everyone.